Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for joining us today. This is Joe with LSA, and I'd like to welcome all of you to our webinar series. Today's webinar is titled Mobile, the Untapped Goldmine for Lowest Cost Search Traffic, and will be brought to you by our guest presenters Warren from Rio SEO and Jody from Fred Meyer Jewelers. So with that, let's get started. Over to you, Warren.
Joe, thank you very much. Really appreciate you setting this up with us. I'm excited about the topic today. Let's start with some quick introductions. I'm the Chief Customer Officer at Rio SEO, and we focus primarily on the huge opportunity resident in the local search opportunity area right now. So we're excited to share a little bit about what's going on there and some of the untapped low-cost traffic that you can get. My background has been in the agency world for quite a few years. I've been over 20 years working with leading agencies as well as leading technology companies. Over 6 years at Apple Computer, Adobe, 3Com, HP division. So kind of gone back and forth between technology and applying that technology in the agency world for major brands. Jody, if you could tell us a little bit about yourself, that'd be great.
Sure. So I'm the Digital Marketing Manager at Fred Meyer Jewelers, and I'm mainly responsible for leading the strategic direction of the digital marketing team, as well as ensuring a successful execution of our strategies in a range of online channels. And before I worked at Fred Meyer Jewelers, I worked at American Express in the UK, and I was responsible there for developing, testing, and launching a range of mobile services.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Jody, for joining us. It's always great to hear directly from a client perspective how this really is impacting your business. So today, the things we're going to cover are mainly focused in these areas here. We're going to talk about the huge shift to mobile that's going on, particularly through the lens of mobile search. We're going to be looking at optimized mobile experiences and what opportunities lie there. We're looking at managing and measuring these opportunities and how to implement a local mobile strategy. So these are basically the 4 areas that we'll be covering, and we'll have time at the end. We're going to leave about 10 or 15 minutes at the end of the presentation for Q&A as well. So starting off, let's take a look at some major shifts that are going on in the world of search with relation to mobile. Obviously, mobile is everywhere. We've talked about it in the industry for years as being the year of the mobile, and that's kind of come and gone. Now mobile is clearly solidified as a foundational element of our marketing. And as you can see from this U.S. local search query volume, that mobile has now surpassed desktop searches. So it is now the predominant device type, basically, for doing searches. And there's unique nuances to that, as you might imagine. 50% of all mobile searches have local intent. So you can imagine when someone's on a mobile device, it goes from being less of a browser device like they would on a desktop environment to more of a transactional utility device where they're really looking to search, to get directions, to get hours of business, much more transactional and utilitarian. And what's interesting too about this traffic is that they're ready to buy. 78% result in an offline purchase. So the intent is very high for conversion. So we're going to talk a little bit about the key mobile aspects that you need to actually be found in this arena and to actually create and develop mobile experiences that really are relevant. Part of that really is being, initially just being accurate and complete with your business information. So we'll unfold that a little bit more in a few minutes. Just from a top-level, percentage kind of statistical view of what's happening here, we're seeing the shift from web desktop behavior to mobile turning up in different ways. 4 in 5 consumers conduct local searches on search engines. 88% use their smartphones. 84% are using computers or tablets. So the search engine is still, even though the mode of access has now shifted from desktop to mobile, search engines has remained as a consistent, steady state where people are still going to search engines. Obviously, we've been trained that way through years and years of desktop experience, and the usual players are there. Google being kind of primarily the front and center leader in that space, but of course, Yahoo being and local directories as well. So search is alive and well and still a thriving part of this this mobile transition that we're experiencing right now. And consumer purchases, are increasing through this local intent that I talked about a little bit earlier. 18% of local smartphone searches led to a purchase within 24 hours, compared to a 7% rate on non-local searches. So when they're mobile and their local intent is very clear, then they have a very high propensity to move into a buying mode. Jody, have you kind of experienced that with your clients as well?
Yeah, definitely. We've found that mobile is really a crucial part of local search. When our customers are looking for a particular store on their mobile, we know that it's likely that they're in the area and looking to make a purchase, which is why we decided to implement mobile responsive local search pages. This was just one way for us to better serve those customers and also give them a great customer experience. We definitely didn't want to miss out on mobile local customers because, as you previously mentioned, they are have a higher tendency to convert. So that's kind of our thinking behind mobile and local search.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing that. If you were to look here a little bit at some recent research put out by Google, basically the way they refer to it is, mobile moments of truth. And the framework is kind of interesting. They look at it from a framework of I want to know moments, I want to go moments, I want to do moments, and I want to buy moments. And they kind of drill down on their surveys and their research across those four lenses. So the I want to know consumer is basically researching topics. And, they found that 65% of online consumers look up information online more than they did a year ago. So before they go to buy, they're actually considering it in advance, and they're researching the product or the service they're about to buy. So we've seen a 65% increase there. 66% of smartphone users turn to their phones to look up something that they saw on TV. So that's interesting as well from a cross-channel perspective. A lot of us are very tuned into attribution of where is my media spend going, and how is it influencing the cross-channel customer experiences. And here we're seeing that mobile clearly plays a big part. People see, in this case, they reference a TV commercial, but it could just as easily be a print or a display ad or something else. The go-to device for 66% of these people is their mobile phone for actually continuing the search and continuing the experience. And then the I want to go moments, clearly a local moment as well. If they physically want to go to your office or to your storefront, we've seen a doubling of nearby or near me searches in the last year. So that clearly shows that we're on a trend right now where people really want to find your service or your storefront in a nearby search. 82% of smartphone users use a search engine when looking up their business, as I mentioned earlier. So they're not necessarily, in fact, a clear majority, 82%, are not going directly to your URL. They're going to a search engine to find your product or your service offering. So what that tells us is that, once again, search is absolutely critical, and we got to make sure that you are 100% findable in these local listings, directories, and local landing pages. The I want to do moments lean a little bit more towards the utilitarian function of a phone. Obviously, we carry these smartphones around with us now, and they're far more than something to do a telephone call on. It's where we actually, check our email. We have, hundreds of apps that we're actively using all the time. So the utility function is really important, and I think that's something that we all need to keep in mind as we build out these mobile experiences. That there's clearly a desire to have function when you land these mobile pages. 91% of smartphone users turn to their phones for ideas when doing tasks as well. So what they're looking for there is kind of efficiency. They want to get there faster. They want to have some kind of a tool, whether they're making a financial decision or they want to do reviews, that sort of thing. It's much more task-oriented. And over 100 million hours of how-to content have been consumed so far this year on YouTube. So people are turning to the web for kind of how-to information as well, which often informs a product decision as the end product of that, or even before they get into it. And then finally, I want to buy moments. This is clearly a huge trend. 82% of smartphone users consult their phones while in-store deciding to buy. So not only did they watch your TV commercial, do a mobile search, get directions of where you were, now they're at that moment of truth to buy, and they're still using the utilitarian function of the phone to actually just decide on, are they getting the best price. They're probably checking reviews of the product, things like that. 29% increase was found in mobile conversion rates over the past year as well. So that's huge as well. People are converting with actually online and offline. So in this case, they're actually pushing the buy button and actually consuming a product, on their phones. And that there's a lot of hybrid models that are coming out of that, which are interesting in the sense of, a lot of stores are doing, buy online, pick up in store kind of mode. So even though you see that as an online sale, there's very often kind of an in-store experience that follows along there as well. Jody, I don't know if you had any comments you wanted to share with us around kind of the growth you've seen there. I know you've seen tremendous growth in your mobile traffic as well.
We sure have. For mobile specifically, we've seen double the growth in our navigation actions. So things like view location, search for location, and view map, specifically on our local search pages, which is, I guess, what we would define as our I want to go customers. But we're also observing growth in our I want to buy customers. So year on year, in 2015, we actually saw a 124% increase in revenue coming from mobile, so it's just getting bigger and bigger.
That's huge, 124% increase in customers coming in from mobile. That's amazing. So clearly you're at the forefront of this, a major national retailer, and you're seeing the impact immediately in your numbers.
Definitely.
So let's unlock a little bit of this mobile traffic goldmine, as we call it. Now, how do you get there? What's the difference? A lot of people who first hear about mobile marketing, or even seasoned folks that have been in the search business for a while, really are starting to understand the nuances of what's important about a mobile search, number one, and a local search as well. There's nuances to that. So let's unfold that a little bit and take a look at it. We have basically consolidated 4 key tips to basically untapping these low-cost traffic. A lot of us who have been in the business a long time, we're very familiar with traditional pay-per-click and organic search business. This mobile and local area is has those new nuances. So we're going to look at 4 key areas and kind of expand on those individually here. One is creating a mobile user experience, and why is that different, and how do we prepare for it? Number 2, ensuring our business is listed on search engines and directories. This is a key factor. If you're not found, then you're going to miss the sales opportunity. And number 3, monitoring customer sentiment. And a lot of this is wrapped around social right now, and online reviews that people engage with, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. And then boosting engagement with enhanced content and conversion elements, and even utilitarian kind of functions, apps and utilities during this buyer journey. Let's start with the quick look at it, creating an experience for mobile users, and kind of what to come to expect. The bar has been raised on all of us as far as what the mobile experience is. We've got major players out there that have kind of in the forefront of this business, people like Amazon, and even folks in the retail space that have really embraced the mobile environment as well as the web environment, and kind of created hybrid models where they've integrated their online and offline business. So the expectation level of these mobile consumers is very high. At a very base level, the core one is it's got to be mobile friendly, and obviously this is translates into either a responsive design. As Jody mentioned, they got ahead of that early, and they're still transitioning portions of their site into much more responsive, mobile friendly, and customer experiences, which is fantastic. So basically deciding a strategy is your number 1 step. If you go responsive, then obviously you can have a single site that basically adjusts to the form factor of the device that's coming in, whether it's a tablet or a smartphone or a desktop. It basically has device alerts that basically indicate what's coming in, and it adjusts the screen to that. Others choose to have fully segmented content for mobile, so basically they redirect visitors to a .m site, and so you have a mobile version of your entire site experience. And a lot of it, is calls for a kind of a rethinking, if you will, of the proper meta tags to help the search engines how to separate your desktop and your mobile pages. And then also, understanding that it's not just you can get a lot of great learnings from your existing SEO best practices and meta tags that you have. So you want to carry that over into the strategy as you build out these mobile experiences. But you also want to add nuances to it, like location sensitive information or additional utilities you'll add because they're on a mobile phone. So you want to be thoughtful about the additional factors that you build into these mobile experiences, and then embed those media capabilities on the mobile as well, whether it's watching how-to videos, or whether it's pulling up a tool on the way in, or downloading an app so they get in-store discounts or can have a better in-store experience. So, and another thing that we've seen that really moves the needle on driving people to the storefronts or offices is local search optimized with a store finder or a location finder. So these are some really kind of foundational starting points as you prepare yourself for getting this onslaught of new mobile users. So one thing people ask frequently is how do you prepare for this mobile impact? And one of the ways we do it right now is there are some free tools out there that you can go to. Obviously, many of us have been kind of gone through what was recently called mobile getting that everyone was a little bit nervous about with the recent release of the latest Google trending and how they do their algorithms. So there is a tool that Google has out there, and here's the URL for that. And basically, it's a Google mobile-friendly test. So you can put your URL of the specific pages you want to test, and it gives you a report on whether it's mobile-friendly or not by Google standards. So you can check that out using the Google Search Console. You can also use your measurement tools, whether it's Google Analytics or any of the Adobe Analytics or whatever web trends, whatever tool you happen to have. All of the modern tools now have mobile measurement capabilities. And we always ask customers to, and we do it ourselves. We basically test it ourselves. We go across Android and iPhones, and basically look at the various type of mobile interfaces that are there, and we literally go through the user experience by hand ourselves with these devices. So there's really no replacing that kind of human experience of going through it as well. And I know you've taken a very mobile-first approach, Jody, on kind of how you're approaching this. If you wanted to share anything on that.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've kind of started to realize that it's kind of impossible to ignore mobile nowadays. Last year we saw a huge increase in our mobile traffic, especially Q4. So we actually get pretty much even numbers of mobile and desktop traffic now. And this is also something we've seen on our local search pages. There's been a 55% increase in the amount of traffic coming from a mobile device to those. And like you said, with mobile getting as well, it's really no longer possible not to optimize for mobile.
Exactly. With Google being such a big force in the industry, I think they made a clear stake in the ground that there is no choice any longer. You're totally right. It is a adapt or die kind of moment, and mobile is kind of at the centerpiece of that.
For sure.
The next kind of housekeeping thing that we do, which is absolutely critical, is ensuring your business is listed on directories. Local citations, over 50% of business searches basically are people looking for business hours, directions, local addresses. So they're very practical, kind of location-based citations that people are looking for. And then there's industry citations that you want to be referenced in. So local companies with a national footprint should look for industry-specific citations, so they make sure that they're found in these searches. And then there's niche citations. So depending on your industry, whether you're in the travel industry or in your case the jewelry industry, Jody, you want to make sure that you're you're well searched there and findable there as well. And a lot of this really comes down to consistency and having clean data. You'd be amazed how many people have errors, or if you're in a franchise model in particular, you've got people that are kind of renegade. They're putting up their own websites and their own landing pages, and promotions and campaigns, and there's a lot of misinformation in there. So it's very important to have a single voice of authority to the search engines and these directories, and actually do a massive house cleaning of the information, particularly if you have dynamic information like seasonal hours, where you want to change the hours of business, or run special promotion features, things like that. You definitely want to be able to have the right information coming from an authoritative voice. The next area is really optimizing your local data. This comes in different formats as well nowadays. Once you've got your name, address, and phone number, kind of the NAP information, then you really got to start looking at how else it translates. And more often than not now, it's, particularly in the mobile experience, it quickly translates into a mapping experience. So you really want to have, consistent and accurate mapping directions associated there. So once again, this is something that you can feed into the mapping tools with your, longitude and latitude coordinates. And you'd be amazed at how, accurate this really needs to be if you're in a busy city or if you're in a mall location. We have seen that, customers get very frustrated if it's just a general map and the pin doesn't actually, coordinate to the north or south or, west side of the mall where they have to go, because they're making, parking decisions and walking decisions. And if they're buying something like a, appliance or something like that, they want to make sure that they're close by. So, having these as exacting as possible is very important to the user experience. Another thing you should include in this is kind of local proximity information, like, description of the services you offered in these stores, or the products that you offer. And this may not be universally the same in every store or every office. You may have, for a banking client, you may offer, wealth management, or you have a mortgage, loan officer in certain branches. You might not have them in others. Others might just be an ATM location that are available 24 hours a day. So, and others might just be nested, store within a store, or ATMs within a store model. So there's a lot of variation on this. So it's very important, once again, that the local information is carried along on a very location by location basis. So you don't just do a one-size-fits-all kind of copy and paste of all your local information and hope that it's going to get a good user experience on the other side. And also, obviously, you want to control your brand, your logo, your product images, so that you're not seeing a bad customer experience of somebody sticking up an out-of-date logo, or bad product images. And of course, social media links are becoming more and more critical every day, particularly in the area of reviews. So you're, you definitely, whether we like it or not, people are talking about our brands, our companies, our products. So we want to be a part of that conversation. And then moving on to the next area, we basically, you want to monitor those conversations, or what we call, customer sentiment. Recent research indicates that 90% of consumers say their buying decisions are influenced by online reviews. That's huge, 90%. So it's something we absolutely cannot ignore. And then, measuring these reviews on the site really are important. So you actually monitor and measure, so you see, how many reviews, what's coming in. And you want to be responsive to these as well, and make it an active part of your marketing channel. So even as simply as just acknowledging feedback, thanking them for the compliment, or letting them know that you heard an issue that they raised and you're looking into it, being responsive is very important. What are you finding, Jody, in your world?
So we actively monitor our social channels and make sure that we respond to customer comments on a daily basis. We're kind of a small team here, so it's not always possible to respond to our reviews as quickly, but we definitely see the value in it. You kind of touched on it earlier. It's important just not just for reputation management, but also it helps to develop relationships with your customers. So for example, if someone writes a positive review and you actually send a response back, then it just shows the customer that you care about their opinion and they're appreciative of having them as a customer. And similarly, if someone writes a bad review, you want to show that you're doing all you can to make it right for them, otherwise they won't ever come back and shop with you again.
Absolutely. And this is a big issue. We've done a lot of research over the years, and a lot of the big brand companies have full departments that do actually respond to these. They either do it in-house or they do it through agency partners that kind of staff these lines and at least do the first level of responsiveness to start that relationship off on the right foot. But then there's a lot of customers too that are in your shoes, Jody, that really have a small marketing team, and it's a challenge. So I would encourage everybody to kind of look at automation tools in this area, because there are a lot of tools now that will do social listening and social publishing of content, things like that, in a much more automated fashion. So it can take some of the difficult tasks and put them into some kind of an automation platform. So a discussion for a different day, but definitely a task that we as marketers just have to get good at and figure out how to staff it, whether it's internal or external. Another area that we've seen a growing demand in is really taking all of these apps that we love so much and integrating them into the local experience. According to research, people are spending an average of 30 hours per month engaged with their apps on their phones. So what we look at from a mobile experience is perhaps this can be kind of a twofold way to either engage your customers that already have the app, to make it an activation point to kind of get them to turn on the app and look for local discounts or value-added services you have when you're in a store. If you're in a big box store, you might want help in actually doing a product lookup and finding out what aisle it's on, and having that kind of customer service carry with you across the threshold into the store. And if they're not a mobile app user and you have an app, this is a great place to do brand awareness of your apps. A lot of people count on putting it up into the iStore, the App Store, and finding being found there. But with millions of apps available, sometimes you're lost in the confusion there. So you've now got a mobile user with local intent that's looking to go to your store, your office, wherever you're providing your service. So it's a very captivated, engaged audience that you've got. So at minimum, it would be great just to expose them the fact that you have an app and the value of that app. And then integrating elements into that, whether it's mobile wallets or in-store experiences, things like that. I think this is a bit of an untapped opportunity for folks as well when they think about their mobile local strategy. And then another key area, of course, is measuring cross-channel for local ROI. One of the big things you've got to start doing, and as with all of our marketing, is really becoming much more revenue-oriented marketers. And to do that, the first step is really kind of measuring and setting analytics around these local landing pages. So we've obviously Google Analytics is a primary player out there, as well as Adobe Omniture. So more often than not, we'll find one of those two, if not some other third-party tool. But at minimum, we would say we'd recommend putting the Google tags on there so that you have the visibility to measure, and then monitor those clicks and search activities for learnings and insights around that difference of mobile behavior. And then, of course, integrating local promotions, coupons, and downloads into these conversion points, and then measuring those conversions from online to offline. That's kind of the attribution thing I talked about earlier. Not the easiest thing to do, but it can be done with unique telephone numbers. It can be done with campaign IDs. You can do it with in-store redemption coupons that only have a certain redemption code that was only available on your local pages. So there are tactical ways to actually move the needle and show the ROI on your local search. So those are things we work out with our clients all the time. Jody, how are you addressing that now, and what are you finding?
Sure. So we've already seen a 49% increase in our on-page conversions, but like you said, what we're really interested in is measuring the in-store conversion rate, since we know that people who are making mobile local searches are most likely to purchase in-store. So we're currently working on a promotion where we'll offer a unique promo code to customers visiting our local search pages, and that will just be valid for them to use in-store. Then what we'll do is we'll cross-reference the number of redemptions against the amount of traffic we get to the pages while the offer is live, and that should help give us an idea of how many people who actually visit our local search pages go on to make a purchase in-store.
That's brilliant. That's perfect. That's exactly right. You're answering one of the big challenges really of the industry right now is really giving attribution where it's due, and kind of showing this mobile local traffic as a key driver to that ultimate conversion. So yeah, thanks for sharing that. Let's take a look at some local search insights that we've been finding. Obviously, mobile search traffic is attributing over 60% of all traffic to clients with local landing pages, so a huge percentage. We did a recent client study, and we showed that companies that are attracting qualified traffic of less than 10 cents per click from organic search are using local SEO. So if you guys who are doing both the organic and the paid on the call, you'll see the stark contrast really in getting 10 cents or below traffic acquisition is really an attractive low-cost price point to hit. Less than 10% of retailers have really optimized their mobile finders for best user experience and search visibility. So we see that as an opportunity for enhanced improvement there. Less than 11% of mobile ads are being mobile optimized. So once again, we see an opportunity for people to kind of capture this mobile moment and really optimize there. And then optimizing mobile pages for both search and for user experience gives you the best chance of garnering really low-cost mobile. So obviously you can optimize for keyword searches, but you really want to be in the mindset of kind of the mobile mind shift that's going on. Of what are they really looking for? Is proximity important? Is time of day important? Is seasonality important? What are those additional factors that will really make it a much richer and more qualified experience as you drive them down that funnel? And take a look here. This is actually some of the primary research that we actually pulled together. So if you look at organic local cost per click versus paid cost per click, you can see here that the paid by industry, we just did some industry averages across our customer base. And if you're in the service industry, your average cost per click is $3.23. And if you look at the cost of local mobile search, it's 12 cents or below. So a radical reduction in the service industry. Similar trends across travel and hospitality, where they're even higher. Their paid search is averaging $3.41, and it's 11 cents or lower. And then the health and fitness industry, even higher, $3.94, almost $4 a click. And this is actually, when you optimize for mobile and local, you get that down to 6 cents or lower. And the fashion and retail industry, once again, a dramatic shift, average of $1.71 per click down to 4 cents. And financial services, probably the most extreme on the chart. They're actually paying $7.13 per cost of acquisition on the paid, and it's less than it's a penny or less for the financial traffic that they get on their mobile. And then finally, the automotive industry, $1.90 average, and then 5 cents lower. So you can see just from this chart how radically cost-effective this traffic really is. And with you layer on the additional factors of the fact that these folks are ready for transactions, they're looking for your location, they're looking for hours of operation, they are poised and ready to buy. That makes this truly a gold mine of an opportunity. And if you look at the this organic search traffic, Rio SEO compared the use of a mobile device and a desktop device to find out where consumers are searching. So we just kind of did a quick survey of the customer base. We found that in the service industry, people are still looking at a little bit more of a potentially a considered purchase, perhaps, but 55% of the folks are still on desktop, but a large chunk, 44%, are on mobile. Travel and hospitality, 45% to 54%. Health and fitness, 45 to 54. Fashion, 57 to 42. Financial services, this one I believe it's because there is a heavy amount of considered purchase factor here. So people really are spending more time reviewing the financial service offerings on a desktop environment. I would guess, and this is just my own personal guess, that 12% there is probably people that have already done their research on the desktop and now they're ready to move into a I want to buy moment. So they're looking for a local bank. And then the automotive industry, once again, a highly considered purchase, so a lot of research done in the desktop, but then when they're ready to buy and they're looking for a dealer, they're basically moving into the mobile experience. So the data is definitely interesting, and we're going to be tracking this on a quarterly basis with our clients. So be on the lookout on our blog and in future webinars to kind of get an update on the mobile tracking trends here. So what's next? Obviously, we talk about mobile, and the fallback position is really to think about your phone. Obviously, that's not the whole story anymore with the launch of the smartphones. The smartwatches. The Apple Watch and the smart devices that are out there, the wearables. Refrigerators that know when you take the milk out, and the recent announcements from Amazon where they're making products that you can put in your closet, and basically you can push to replenish products right there at the point of need. There's all kinds of things going on. Many of you may be reading articles about or even implementing now beacon technology where somebody can be on their phone, get the location page, get to your storefront, for example, and then they can be maybe download the app and basically be triggered as they move into the front door through a beacon. And depending on how many beacons you want to put in the store, you can actually kind of monitor their movements to the store and make special offers while they're even down to the individual aisle level. So it's a promising technology. I'd say it's kind of on the technologies to watch space. Just keep an eye on it. It's, from my experience at least with the clients we've had, it's still kind of in the experimental mode, but a lot of promise there, particularly as you think about the mobile, the personal information carried around on mobile devices. It's a tremendous amount of personalization opportunity if clients, opt to give you that information, about their personal habits, their exercise habits, their eating habits, their travel habits, for example, and then carry that into the mobile and in-store or in-office experience. And then basically initiating a good mobile strategy is important, and kind of keeping the whole kind of holistic approach. As us that have been in this space for a while, we all saw the advent of kind of mobile and social, and a lot of buzz around that, and people were formulating custom departments around mobile marketing or around social marketing. I think what will happen with mobile, and it's already kind of happening, is it's just part of marketing in general. So what I recommend is look at it holistically across your entire marketing strategy, particularly in the search area. That's the low-hanging fruit area for now, is just make sure that you're doing your paid, you're doing your organic, and you put a special focus on the local mobile traffic that you have, and then do your best practices around really building a measurement plan in place, tracking ROI, and having relevant content for the consumer. And one of the ways we start that normally is with an audit. So what we do is we look at the kind of the current state of where things are right now, and the starting point typically is looking at your listing business and finding out, of all your locations around the United States or around the world, how are you listed? What's the health of those listings? How many of are duplicates? How many have erroneous data or wrong information? So this is kind of a starting point. This is something we do for many of our clients, just to kind of get them started as we do a kind of a health check or an audit of their current listing business. And then we check their rankings across all these local pages and directories. And then we test the site for mobile friendliness. We measure your reviews and ratings, customer sentiment, and then we assess your web analytics to basically kind of benchmark where you are now so that you can show marked improvement to your companies as you start improving these mobile local experiences. Another thing, you guys are used to, of course, in the search ranks is identifying a keyword strategy. Obviously, analyzing keywords and query volumes is a starting point. But the next layer on that, which is relatively new for some, is hyper-localizing that content. So there's a lot of location-specific and experience-specific information that can be layered into the searches. In the case of Jody's experience, it could be people searching for a wedding ring or diamonds or very specific kind of things that will lead them down a certain path, and that may influence and should influence probably the offer strategies and the call to actions that you have on those pages. So the more personalized you can be about it through your search criteria, the better. And then, of course, measuring and ranking these over time and setting up a continual learning path for that. And once again, this localized content can be, even local area information that's not directly related to your business, but peripherally related to the experience of the fact that they're going to be in this district or this part of town. And then launching your local marketing, using a scalable CMS. Most of you will probably be on some form of a content management system. And one of the default thoughts that people have initially in marketing is, well, we have a content management system and, we can stick a location page on there. Isn't that good enough? As it turns out, more often than not, it's really not. It's not as scalable as you think it would be, not as flexible to the hyper-local content that you need, much more challenging to change on the fly, particularly if you have to work with your IT department to do it. So, there's probably two ways to do this right now. One is, utilize your existing pages, or, use a tool like ours where we actually have our own local marketing CMS, where we take all of the store information, the local pages, if you will, and custom build them into templates and frameworks that basically are deployed and ultimately scalable on the fly without any IT intervention at all. So you can change hours of operation or seasonal promotions or calls to actions, literally, day by day, minute by minute if you wanted to. So that kind of dynamic nature, when you see, the stats that I presented earlier about how powerful this channel is and how high the ROI is on it, it definitely warrants having a custom kind of view on it and control of it as a marketer. And then having flexibility to collect unlimited local data points around your business, so media, social profiles, that sort of thing, to make it a rich, enhanced experience. And then integrate with your other data points. So if you are so inclined and have the ability, you could do, the low-hanging fruit is doing the name, address, phone number. The next level is, mapping and directions. Third level is really getting a customer experience that's better. So basically, they can find out, what kind of products are offered in this store or office location or bank location. And then the next layer could be even integrating things like product lookup. So if you're midway between two store locations and it's really important that you, you come home with that product, you may want to do a product lookup, which basically would require an integration with your inventory systems. And if you, really want to be ambitious, and it would be great to do, is you integrate it with your CRM system, so you basically have them kind of check in at this point, and you can get their entire buying history and customize the experience from that point on to their buying history. So integrating with things like your CRM or with your product inventory systems could be a great tool for here. And obviously having store locators or location finders at this point are critical to really the success of that landing page experience. And then driving ROI with local reporting. Obviously, like all good marketers do, we analyze keywords and study the query volumes and conversion rates of each of those, and do a constant modifying and updating, and then hyper localizing the content itself. And like I said, this could be related to not only your store, but it could be related to if you're in Colorado and it's skiing season, you may want to have certain promos or certain content on the page, or if you're in San Diego, you may want to be surfing or sailing. So depending on where you are, you may not and probably should not have a kind of one-size-fits-all template that you do for local. It should definitely be regionalized, and then measuring and ranking these over time on branded and non-branded terms. So once again, this is kind of our roadmap of getting started. And key takeaways. Number one, it's important to, imperative to know how your brand stands today in terms of mobile experiences and local search visibility. And part of that is, I think, also looking at your competitive landscape. Take a look at what your top 3 competitors are doing from a mobile experience. I think we always have to keep that in mind as far as what the competitors are doing and how they're changing the user expectation. And then being effective in mobile takes, like I said earlier, kind of an umbrella approach across SEO, directory listings, having consistent, authoritative data, having a great user experience and bringing in that social aspect and having that reputation management as an ongoing part of the strategy. And then brands kind of moving beyond SEO with integration into cross-channel initiatives. So like I gave an example earlier about a TV commercial that resonated into a mobile search that resonated into a in-store experience that turned into a sale within 24 hours. Loyalty programs are a great thing to explore at this stage as well. If you've got a frequent buyer that is now doing a search, while they're traveling or to find your location, encourage them to build their points up by going into the store today. Of course, social feeds and app downloads, as I spoke about earlier. And then multi-location brands need, you really do, you need technology to scale this effort. If you've got, 50 or 100 or thousands of outlets, locations, it becomes very daunting. I don't know any marketing teams that feel like they have too many people on their staff and too much time in the day. So if you can imagine, doing hundreds of these updates every day, it becomes very daunting. So using automation is a key thing. I don't know, Jody, maybe you can share a little bit about, how you feel about, the automation and how that's kind of changed your life and how that's working for you folks.
Sure. Well, the great thing about Rio is it's kind of not necessarily completely set it and forget it, but there's definitely a lot of partnership between our team and our Rio client manager. So yeah, we're finding that the whole kind of automation part of the platform is really helping us, have more time to do other things, really.
That's great. Yeah, really. Yeah, that's the goal, is to automate the mundane part of it and let you folks really work on the more strategic part of those local offers and the call to actions and the attribution models that you want to build. If you're mired in the details of doing hundreds of local page updates every day, it's very hard to be strategic. So use automation where it's best to apply, and you'll find the same thing with all kinds of marketing automation tools out there. And we're just one of them that happens to be highly focused on the mobile local opportunity. So I encourage you to find partners like that and just but automate everything you can and then focus on the more strategic stuff with yourself and the team.
All right, so thanks to Warren and Jody for conducting today's webinar, and thanks to everyone for attending today. If you have any questions or would like to be connected with today's speaker, simply email us at webinars@thelsa.org. Also, for a look at what is coming and to access all of our past webinars, visit www.thelsa.org/webinars. So thanks again, everyone, and have a great day.